conservation organization. Particularly get an award for something you like doing so much. In fact, it's my life passion. So, what I want to talk about tonight, first, I guess, since we're introducing directors in the organizations, let me introduce some of the PLC directors so you get to know who they are. Okay, in the back, I see two of our founders, Claude Brown and Lisa Madola. In the distant, very back, I see one of our new directors, Joseph Floyd. Willie Lozen, our conservation director. Bjorn, our computer whiz. Oh yeah, Rob Blunt and his wife. And that's everybody on the board that's here tonight. So, as you heard in the video, PLC was created in 2006, and we've done amazing work since we were created a short while ago. Our guiding principle is the Half Earth policy planned by E.O. Wilson. And essentially that idea or plan is to leave half the Earth in a natural condition so we can protect species and diversity and protect the planet. And that's our guiding principle, and what we want to do is conserve half of Florida before we're done. And we do this through a series of different techniques, but one of our most successful programs is we get private landowners, to donate their land or donate conservation easements to us. And that's a missing element in the conservation movement. I just recently read that the land trust movement in the United States, which is more than 200 years old and it exists all over the country, now protects and conserves more land in the national park system. So we've had great success with private land conservancies that protect private lands in perpetuity. As also was said in the video, I'm having problems reading without my glasses. Corridors has been one of our main purposes and functions. So what I want to start first is show you the Florida Wildlife Corridor. It's shown two different maps, a stylized version on the right and the actual lands on the left. The green indicating, the light green being public lands, public protected lands, the dark green being lands to be acquired, or have private lands that have already been acquired. Next picture, Willie. This focuses more close to home. This is the corridor that we're particularly interested in. It's the O2O corridor, the Ocala to Osceola corridor. And you see where it starts considerably south of south of Ocala, and goes all the way north to the Osceola National Forest. The light green lands are protected public lands. Is that right, Willie, or the dark green?
Actually, yeah, it's opposite on this map. So the dark green are public protected lands, the light green is the corridor lands.
Okay, and see the map in the middle that shows its location in the state. And then to the right is another example, the boundaries of the Florida Wildlife Corridor, the official boundary. Is that not the official boundary showing on the left-hand side?
Yes, and that shows a more close-up view of Putnam and surrounding counties. So it goes right through the middle of Putnam County.
I'm glad I brought Willie along.
The yellow is the Florida Wildlife Corridor on the left-hand map.
Okay, next picture, Willie. Okay, now, this is a new corridor that has just been authorized, and Alachua Conservation Trust has designed this corridor. It's the Forest to Gulf corridor. And the pink lands are lands to be acquired, hopefully, and protected. The green lands are already protected lands. The blue circles are focal points that PLC and other land conservancies have been focusing on in acquiring. And you'll see there's a lot to be done, but we've got perpetuity to do it. So Next slide. Now, this is an Audubon meeting, so naturally we're going to have pictures of birds. What we're going to talk about are PLC projects. First, public acquisitions, then conservation easements, programs and initiatives, conservation advocacy, and then land donations. So really, you want to go to the next picture. Okay, when PLC got started, its first major victory was getting the state to buy the Little Orange Creek Nature Park. It started out as a 1,200 acre acquisition. It's now grown to more than 3,000 acres through other acquisitions and other ads. And it extends far north of State Road 20 now. Another major effort we did, and this was during the beginning of the recession. 9 Mile Swamp was one of our focal points. We were trying to get the state to buy a section of 9 Mile Swamp. And it was way down at the bottom of the list. And the economic crisis occurred. All the other candidates dropped out, and 9 Mile Swamp was acquired by the state. So a big segment of 9 Mile Swamp fills in a vital link of the wildlife corridor. And then when we got started, one of our major efforts was the Deep Creek area, to try to protect it as a conservation area. And I'm proud to say that this year, within a few weeks, the owners of a big part of Deep Creek have signed an auction agreement to sell their property to the state. So Deep Creek will soon be protected forever. You want to go to the next picture? Okay, so this is information about the Little Orange Creek Nature Park. On the right is a map. The red areas are lands, kind of magnified, but lands owned by PLC. The yellow lines in the middle of the county, that's the wildlife corridor that passes through the county. That's the boundaries, the official boundaries of the wildlife corridor. And there's the arrow pointing to Little Orange Creek Nature Park, where it's located. And our goal is to connect the Little Orange Creek Nature Park with other major protected areas through wildlife corridors. It's one of our goals. So, next, now, on the left is a picture of Mill Creek, which was part of, on the Little Orange Creek Nature Park. On the right is a picture of the facility. It had a nice house that was converted into a public facility at Little Orange Creek Nature Park. And the gentleman on the right is one of our past presidents, Robert Bernstein, a scientist retired from the St. Johns River Water Management District. And there's a plaque that dedicates the building to Kathy Cantwell, one of our founders. So, next picture, Willie. 9 Mile Swamp Park, there's the boundaries. No, well, it's not really the boundaries, but there's the arrow pointing to the area of 9 Mile Swamp. And it's approximately 1,200 acres. You can read the text on the left. And one of the ways we achieve our goals is to go into partnership with private or public entities. So in this particular case, we entered into a partnership with the St. Johns River Water Management District, the Florida Conservation Trust, and Putnam County to acquire this property and manage it. So next, okay, and then this is our Deep Creek Conservation Project. Now the blue is what's going to be purchased, correct, Willie?
The purchase is not really clearly shown on that map because it's a real sensitive, environmentally sensitive area, so we didn't want to really make it public where the property is exactly, but the blue is the Florida Forever boundary. And Deep Creek is in the middle of the part that heads off to the...
You can see where the arrows point to Deep
west
Creek.
there.
Anyway, see how Deep Creek is located close to so many other important large conservation areas. So it's a very, very vital link in protecting land. And it's a natural wonder. I've walked Deep Creek. You can walk, the water's crystal clear. I didn't see a single invasive species. It's a unique experience to walk around Florida now, not seeing an invasive species somewhere, but there were none. And it's seepage spring-fed water. So Willie, you want to go there? Okay,
There's the pictures of Deep Creek.
That's by the way, if you've ever driven driven on 315 south, and you get just south of Interlachen, there's a little creek area you can see with a parking area. That's Deep Creek. And people, it's a great recreational facility. People, the landowners let people walk up the creek and enjoy the creek. So there's some more information about it. And what's unique about one of the unique features of Deep Creek is the Atlantic white cedar growing there. It's the southernmost extent of Atlantic white cedar. Okay, so next slide. There's some more pictures of Deep Creek. Okay, now, shortly after we were able to get these acquisitions by the state of public lands, we started getting contact from private landowners about conservation easements. So actually, number 2 was our first conservation easement, Wiles Culberson Conservation Easement, and George Butler was the second conservation easement. Together they total about 200 acres. And this is information about a conservation easement. We have to be a legally qualified organization, which we are, to hold a conservation easement. And you have to have that mission, and there's other information about it. Okay, next. I've got 20 minutes, so I'm rushing. All right. Next is the George Butler. This is the location of the George Butler. The red line is State Road 20. It's just west of Interlachen on Lake Galilee, and there's the property. There's the location of the property. You see part of it goes out under the lake bed. There's a picture of the. Now, what's really unique about this property? It has this rare Sandhill Lake shoreline, which is one of the first areas developed, the Sandhill Lakes. So it's got that rare Sandhill Lakes habitat. Then it slopes up into a very mature longleaf pine forest, very mature. So there's some of the longleaf pine. See the slope up. Okay, next picture, Willie. Okay, and now this is about the Wiles Culberson Conservation Area, our very first conservation easement. In fact, it started out at 35 acres. I think it's grown now to about 40 acres. The owner keeps acquiring surrounding lands and adding it to the conservation easement.
All right.
So, and you see the segments of land. Next picture, Will. That's one of the Sandhill Lakes that it protects.
It's on Brim Lake, south of
Brim Lake.
Hawthorne.
There's some. Now the owner, this particular owner lives on that property, but he set aside a conservation easement to protect it forever. All right, so next I'm going to talk about our programs and initiatives, and we're going to start off with Half Moon Lake Nature Preserve and Park, which is close to home. There it is, and you see how it's located near all those other protected areas. Now, you can read the text on the left. You want to go to the next slide with it? I hope we got some fast readers here. All right, now this is that's right, I got a pointer somewhere. Okay. PLC already owns, as you see, these two properties here. The county owns this property. We propose to purchase for $60,000 that parcel right there. That's upland that's connected to the wetland area. Very important for the species and habitat. So, and I have to say, your organization was one of our first contributors. The Santa Fe Audubon Society donated $2,000 towards the acquisition of this property. And these are some of the birds that are found in the vicinity. And this is one of the ways that we acquire property. We also buy property. Usually we get a more of a bargain price, but in this case, with today's market, it's really a bargain price. So, but the owner has given us very liberal purchase terms, so we've got a long time to buy. So, next picture, Willie. There's some of the habitat on Half Moon. Next slide.
Reed Noss lives on Half Moon Lake, and he's documented 100 different species of birds around Half Moon Lake.
Yeah, Reed Noss is a local neighbor. He's really the person that inspired us to get involved in this project. And he has counted over 150 bird species?
100 species.
100 species, okay. Okay, and one of the ways we're hoping to buy that parcel is through a grant. So we've applied for a grant, and what we have here are nature trails, design, parking area. So we hope to have a lot of public use. And Willie suggested this afternoon that we build a bird. We should a bird blind. Absolutely. On there, and that can still be done. Yep. But that's the project, and we're very hopeful that we'll succeed in this project. Next picture, Willie. Okay, this is one of our corridor building parcels. It was donated by the Triplet family, and there's Joy Siegel and her husband, Richard Siegel, back there. They were part of the donors of this property. And we've been using it as an event site. It's a wonderful event site. We've had great events there. And we use it to demonstrate sustainable lakeside living. We go back to that previous picture, Willie. We managed the property. We eliminated a pine plantation on some of it, and now we're replacing it with longleaf pine. So that's part of our management. We've got help from Alachua Conservation Trust and other organizations to manage it. Next slide again, Willie. This is when we had one of our events, our most recent event. That's Dick Franz. I don't see him here tonight, but he's always there to help us and put on shows. They're showing lakeside biota. And that looks like Claude Brown right there. And there I am. How about that? Okay, so that's one of our events. Okay, now this has been one of our long-term projects that we started with nothing. Mondex was a poorly designed subdivision owned by people from all over the world in 1 acre parcels right in the middle of the Florida Wildlife Corridor, by the way, but also property that never should be developed. It's wet, mostly. So we started with no ownership at all. And now we own approximately a third of Mondex, this Mondex subdivision. And we're in partners with the owner of another significant portion to protect the area. So, and it's a vital, as you can see, it's a vital link in the wildlife corridor. So, and most of the property we acquired, we had a couple of major purchases. We got Felburn Foundation grant for one major purchase, and we did a fundraiser with our own supporters for the other purchase. So we acquired some of these parcels by purchase, but I would say more than half came from donations. We would contact the owners from other places, and they would donate the property to us. So we own fee title to all that property. There's an example of the habitat. Area conservation. This is in Marion County, and this is an example of small parcel conservation. This is the Wiria area, outlined in red. The yellow are Wiria habitat, correct?
Those are Wiria documented occurrences.
There's the
Wiria.
Wiria.
On the right.
Anyway, this part of Marion County is exploding in growth. These are prime subdivision lot habitats. We're in competition with all kinds of builders and contractors to acquire this property, but slowly these green portions we're acquiring. Now we have a partnership with the Florida Native Plant Society to both acquire this property and manage it. And we've been, we also, Duke Energy, why don't you show the next slide?
Oh, can I point out the Florida Native Plant Society, they purchased 12 acres with the help of the Felburn Foundation.
Where is that, the green?
It's the tan color on the right side. Keep going to the right. Yeah,
Florida Native Plant Society. See, so we're slowly getting there. We're gonna protect this Wiria area. And we got the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service interested because there's a associated animal with the Wiria plant called a sand skink. And there it is. There's a sand skink. And that thumb, by the way, is a permitted thumb. It's a threatened or endangered species, so you gotta have a permit. So that is a permitted thumb right there. And there's Duke Energy. See, we got them to join in and try to protect the area, not to mow it. So they put up signs, don't mow it, don't damage it. These partnerships really, really work. They really help. We wouldn't be where we are today if we didn't have these great partnerships. Next. All right. This is a property on what's the lake? Redwater Lake. It's going to be donated to us. It's approximately 13 acres. The donors are going to give us title outright to 3 of the parcels. One of the parcels has a cabin on it. They're reserving a life estate for them and their children and grandchildren, I believe, for the rest of their life, but they gave us a conservation easement over that parcel, so it'll always stay natural. So this is a very, very important parcel, and who knows, might make a quarter out of it yet, even though it's an isolated parcel right now. There's some of the habitat. That's the cabin, the porch looking out over the lake. And Redwater Lake, by the way, is highly desirable for development. So anything we can protect.
Ann lives there.
That's where I
Ah,
live.
see? So you're glad we got that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, here's another one of our projects, the Georges Lake Wildlife Corridor. There's the state forest at Nye Creek State Forest. There's the Balmore State Forest, and there's Lakeside Hills, which is a subdivision with extremely small lots. So our plan is to acquire as many of these lots as possible so we can connect these 2 major areas. And one of the programs that we're trying to acquire is we're buying, we call it the Conservation Certificate Program. It's where you pay the delinquent taxes on parcels that they don't pay the taxes on. You hold the delinquent, and you apply for a tax deed. Sometimes we get it. Either way, it's a win-win situation for us, because if we don't get the title to the land, we get great return of our investment on interest. So it's a no-lose situation for us, and we've got one of our board members, David Wiles, who couldn't be here tonight, has devoted most of his efforts to checking up on the delinquent taxes on these parcels, and then trying to, it's almost a full-time job tracking it down, but he's been doing it. So that's one of our long-range projects, but eventually we're going to connect these 2 conservation areas. Next, there's some of the habitat. There's another good example. The Pocket Park in St. Augustine Beach. We were contacted by some landowners. There's the location of the Pocket Park. You see, Florida, St. Augustine Beach. There's the actual location. Show the next slide. Okay. There were 2 landowners that live here. They also own this property here. They didn't want to see it developed. So what they did, but there's an example. There's the habitat. And this area is under intense development pressure, St. Augustine Beach. So anyway, they contacted us. They deeded the land to St. Augustine Beach, but you can't trust a future board of commissioners to protect the land. So they gave us a conservation easement to make sure it's protected in perpetuity. So St. Augustine Beach, we'll make sure it's safe. How many, do you have pictures to show the interior of the? Oh, there it is. Yeah, okay, great. There's some of the interior. This is extremely rare habitat now on the coast because it's all been converted to development. So there it is. There's another great project. We have a specialty, and we accept title to small parcels. Most land trusts won't deal with small parcels because there's so much labor involved in acquiring and managing it. That's our specialty. We take small parcels. They went to Tall Timbers Land Trust and offered to donate this wetland area. It's a very important wetland area. You see, it's a tributary of the Wakasasa River. It's got old growth cypress forest on it, and this private donor was referred by Tall Timbers to us because we specialize in taking title. Now this is in Jefferson County. Jefferson County, it's way out of our area, but we took title to it. We had the property appraiser there's a law that says when a conservation organization takes title, the taxes are exempt. The property appraiser didn't want to give us an exemption, so we had to persuade him legally that that was the right thing to do, and he did, and she did eventually. So, so it's a, show some of the habitat, Willie. Ah, okay, there's some of the habitat, look at that. This is one of the, what happened, this property was acquired by the neighbors. This is one of the neighbors that made the effort to raise the funds to buy the property. He approached Tall Timbers, they sent him to us, and he deeded it to us, and there he is in my office, deeding the property to us. So, and there's some more of the habitat. And I'll tell you, these small parcels are important. They matter. They matter for birds, they matter for lizards, they matter for all kinds of wild. So, and they matter for the future.
Yes, they do.
So, we don't shy away from it. Okay, the Jefferson Ranch, we were also contacted and referred by ACT. This was a famous pilot, by the way, that developed a flight manual.
Yeah, his father did.
He authored the flight manual for most pilots today. His name was Jefferson. He had this ranch where he specialized in raising high quality cattle. He loved that ranch. He loved the sandhill cranes that were on the ranch. And he wanted to protect it forever, but he couldn't find a land conservancy that was interested because it's only 90 acres. Only 90 acres. This is in the middle of the villagers' growth. Remember, you know the villages is growing like a mushroom. And see all these houses on it, and the villages is creeping up in this area. Anyway, this is protected forever as ranch. It's got to be used as a ranch. The bank is the trustee now. Mr. Jefferson unfortunately died recently, so now we're dealing with the bank that's the trustee of his trust. And we inspect it once a year to make sure that the ranch is still an operating, working ranch. And there's some of the habitat. See, it's got cattle. It's really a ranch. And there's Bjorn's back. and a nice lake on the property. All right, this, another one of our great projects. This is in St. Johns County. We were contacted by a property owner. We were referred by a North Florida Land Trust, and we entered into a partnership with local residents. And the red, isn't the red what's protected?
The red is protected, the green is the other areas that we're trying to
Yeah,
acquire.
the red's protected. We currently own title to those parcels in red. And the green, we want to acquire title. There's very exclusive development and homes in this area. They're very interested in protecting their boundaries and their human habitat there. So.
And it's kind of an island there in the midst of suburban sprawl.
So there's lots of different projects, lots of different ways that we protect land, but this has all been done in 16 years, by the way, with little or no money. So I'm still amazed because I've been in this business for 50 years and I've never had so much effectiveness in protecting land as I have with the Putnam Land Conservancy. Okay, one of the things we do, we also advocate. We rarely, but we do advocate. And when the State Road 20 widening project came up, we were very active in that. And show the next slide. Okay, one of the first things we did is we persuaded the Department of Transportation to slant their curbs. So now this, I have to say, that's not a real picture. That was a shot picture of a turtle. But that's what can happen, as opposed to this. So when you drive on 20 now and you see these angled curbs, you'll know what it's about. And we advocated, and the DOT was quick in saying yes. Show the next picture. This is another great thing of the State Road 20. Now, State Road 20 widening has adverse effects, but it had a lot of beneficial effects too. This is the new bridge that they constructed. This is a wildlife people corridor under State Road 20 to go to the north area where the acreage is. And then they increase the flow of the Lawrence Creek. So we'll go to the next slide. That's a little retreat, which we talked them into re-engineering. This is the Fowler's Prairie Bridge. Now, this is the current road. And you see it's got a little culvert right over here to allow the water flow. We talked the Department of Transportation into expanding the amount of flowage area. So now it's 300 feet or 200 feet? 300 feet? 300 feet of flow to rehydrate Fowler's Prairie. And this is very, it's, okay, next. Devil's Hole. All right. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Devil's Hole, but it's a famous swimming spot in Interlachen area. All right. This is State Road 20, Old Road. They were gonna build State Road 20 right over Devil's Hole.
Oh.
So Willie pointed out that Devil's Hole is there, and they're gonna cover up Devil's Hole, which is a direct connection to the aquifer. So they rerouted it.
Oh, yay.
There's the picture of Devil's Hole.
That's Devil's Hole?
And show the next thing. Here's a cross section of Devil's Hole. There's some scientists, Willie got together and they did some studies on it.
How deep is that?
You can see the depth on the right from the water surface to the bottom of the hole is 100 feet. And it's 60 feet from the ground surface to the water surface. And then there's a cave that connects to the aquifer, and Dick Franz and Tom Morris discovered an endemic crayfish that lives only in Devil's Hole.
And that's, I'll tell you, it's how you can spot Devil's Hole when you're on 20. You'll see a big cell phone tower high up on a thing, and that's in proximity to Devil's Hole. Okay, next picture. There's another bird picture. By the way, we have a lot of Jeff Smith bird pictures, and we also have Ray Moss bird pictures. Just so everybody. Okay, so this is about our land donations. Go to the next picture. Okay, here's that picture of Putnam County again, the wildlife corridor. And we own roughly 900 small parcels in the county. And these are our lands. Now these blue lands are conservation eased lands. Some are owned by others, some are owned by us. There's one that's owned by us right there. And I'll see the other public one is over here somewhere. So, is there any more? Are there any more slides?
Yeah, we've got a few pictures of some of the
Okay, yeah.
small
These are some of the small parcels we own. Look at that. Okay, and that's the end of our program. And here's our Isn't this a great organization? I mean, it accomplishes so much in such a short period of time. It's amazing.